Hello, my freedom loving patriots. If you wouldn't mind, please like, comment, and hit that subscribe button below. Just waiting for a few people to join. Doing a live on YouTube, Facebook, and X, known as Twitter. And today we are going to be live reacting to Kamala Harris doing her very embarrassing CNN interview, which was last night. I was going to react to it live, but unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to finish the whole thing. So today, that is exactly what I'm going to be doing. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Please like, comment, and hit that subscribe button below. Let's get it started, y'all. Oh, actually, no, sorry about that. Brain fart right there. So before we start the live interview and react to it, we are going to do a very funny uh, new video that RFK's VP pick actually put out yesterday. And it has been making its rounds, going very viral on mainstream media. So before we get the CNN interview started, we're going to react to her very funny new commercial she just released.
Are you or your loved ones suffering from illnesses such as TDS, also known as Trump derangement syndrome? Do you dismiss or deny the current issues facing our country, such as historic inflation, illegal immigration, corporate corruption, World War III escalations, and the chronic disease epidemic? Are you willing to elect someone who was the least popular vice president in modern history, and who offers no policy or vision for America simply because your brain keeps telling you anyone but Trump? If so, you might be struggling from TDS. Introducing independence. Independence allows you the freedom to finally think independently once again. Instead of believing everything you hear from the mainstream media, independence allows for constructive critical thinking.
I used to hear people on the news say things like,
Donald Trump and the movement he has encouraged are a threat to democracy.
and I instantly believed it. With independence, I now realize the media is run by the Democrat elite, who are a corrupt oligarchy that censors free speech, silences political opponents, supports forever wars, and abandons democracy by anointing its candidates.
Independence may not be for everyone. If you enjoy being lied to about your president's cognitive abilities, support Orwellian totalitarianism, or are excited about communist fiscal policy, independence may not be right for you. Common side effects of independence may include an awakening of rational thought, successfully identifying propaganda, freedom of choice, loss of hatred, anti-narcissistic behavior, and love of democracy.
I used to blindly hate whoever my party was running against. I didn't care about facts or policy because I was hopelessly indoctrinated. With independence, I'm much more interested in policies that uphold democracy, and I truly care about the health of our country and its citizens.
Yes.
Ask your doctor if independence is right for you, and enjoy your freedoms once again.
You know, I'm going to give a lot of respect to independents or people who once have Trump derangement syndrome. I've seen a lot of people recently putting out videos about how they were the most anti-Trumpers a few years ago and how they've kind of evolved and learned the ability to critically think and get rid of their Trump derangement syndrome. And now they're huge supporters of Trump. You really just need to turn off big media, left and right, and do your independent research. For example, what I did, because I didn't like Trump at first, is I said, why are these people hating on him when all of them used to be best friends with them? Well, I decided, why don't I just check out and see exactly what it is that he's saying that's so racist? And when I actually listened to his own words, Donald Trump, that is, he wasn't saying anything racist. Actually, he was pretty fair and very smart and just America first, or what I like to say is common sense policy. We all are Americans. At the end of the day, we just want our freedom, we want security, and we want safety. And if we're going to be paying taxes to the government, that is three things that I don't think is asking for too much. And if you can't offer safety, security, and freedom, you should not be in power or any positions of power. And right now, we have these communists on the left who are running our country. No, not just our country, but the whole world into the fucking ground. Sorry for my language. We need an awakening to happening. I believe that awakening has already been happening and is currently happening. And I believe that there is a world, not just country in the United States, but a world revolution happening. And you know what? It is amazing to see. I see a lot of people who, if I would have spoken to them a few years ago, would have said, F Trump, he's a racist, he's a bigot. But now they're actually being able to look at policies and exactly what he did for this country when he was president. People can see the stark differences in prices, in their safety, in the homeless encampments coming all around the country. And for that fact, I just wanted to talk about that before I get to Kamala Harris. I am going to be going to a Trump interview, not interview, but Trump event tomorrow in Roseville, California. I hope everyone will watch my live interview because I plan on doing an interview with Trump supporters. Common sense, America first, freedom, baby. That's what it's all about. Join the MAGA movement. If you're not, you're a communist in my eyes. It's pretty much at this point freedom or it's a dictatorship. Democracy just means Democrats are in charge and they don't agree with it. We live in a constitutional republic, and that's what's that. If you have a problem with that, leave. Ditto. Bye. Peace. All right, so now this is the CNN interview with her. Kamala Harris yesterday was a dumpster fire. She really didn't cover any policy. She lied the whole time. Tampon Tim looked like a jackass as usual. The dude's an idiot. I didn't think you could get much dumber than Kamala, but I really think he tops it. Let's get the interview started, y'all. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I am hosting this on StreamYard, but the main channel that I put most all of my content on is YouTube. Search Politics and Life, and you will see my page. Let's get it started, y'all.
The American people. Madam Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for sitting down with me and bringing the bus. The bus tour is well underway here in Georgia. You have less time to make your case to voters than any candidate in modern American history. The voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward, in a way that generations of
What's up with her speaking about a new way forward? How she's answering this question almost makes it like she hasn't already been in control the past 4 years. What happened the past 4 years? Where have you been? You've been doing nothing but a lot of lip service, no action. This is all talk. I don't understand why now and not the past 4 years did she get off her ass and do something, but now she wants to promise all this nice. It's just BS.
Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans.
The character and strength as we are in Americans. What the hell does that even mean? So because Trump wants to secure the border, get rid of all these never-ending wars, and put America first, she is so dumb. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry that you guys cringe interview, but I believe that is very necessary for the public to see.
Really dividing our nation, and I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life, to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to.
So now the party of abortions is now pushing and acting like they're pro-life. When did this start? Because if I recall, that is literally all they talk about. The only policies that I know is abortions, which Planned Parenthood was opened up by a white liberal racist Democrat who opened it to depopulate minority babies. So now all of a sudden they're coming out as pro-life. Spare me that BS.
Going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America to what can be, and I think many of these things that the vice president's proposing are things that we share in values.
Oh, share in values. You mean like how you let your city burn down during the BLM riots? Or how about how your own daughter worked against the police officers to let the violent rioters know exactly where they were going to be and at what time frame they were going to be there? You guys are both perfect for each other in regards to this woke, just authoritarian agenda.
The child tax credit is one we know that reduces childhood poverty by a third. We did it in Minnesota to have a federal partner in this. Unbelievable, I think, in the impact that we can make.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald.
Oh, so it's Trump's fault. So all these increased prices, high inflation, everything that you're paying more for on a daily basis, it's Trump's fault because he mismanaged COVID. Are you kidding me right now? COVID has been over, and I know we got to be very careful in regards to what we say about COVID on CommieTube, aka YouTube. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But you had 4 years. It's not still going on. So for you to still using these same excuses on why your economy sucks, just no one's buying it at this point. No one at all, unless you're one of these NPC Democrat sheeps who are vote blue no matter who.
Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any.
But when you entered office, I'm almost positive that inflation was at 1.9%. So if you want to talk about numbers, it's still higher than when you enter office. So how is this Trump's fault if when he left president, it was lower than it is now? That just doesn't add up. And I don't think when she's speaking, she had a month to do this interview, and I feel like she really effed it up, this opportunity. And you know what? I'm very glad. I knew she would F it up because she's a very dumb person in general.
Any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it, which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging, what we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years, what we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes.
Why have you not done it yet then? You've had 4 years, you bumbling idiot. Why are you saying now you're going to do all these things right before an election? Because this is exactly what the Democrats do every damn 3.5 years right before an election. They promise all this free shit. They promise they're going to do all this shit, and they pander to people for votes. But no one's buying it this time. I really don't believe that. Everywhere I go, everywhere I see, and I'm in the state of California, let me tell you, besides maybe 2 cities, which are Davis and Sacramento, parts of Sacramento. Besides that, everyone's for Trump. I think if we had 1 day voting, bring your ID, single vote, no illegals, and no ballots, that this would be the biggest red wave we've ever seen in history.
What would be a tax credit of $25,000 for
Where's that money
first-time
coming
home
from?
buyers, so they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have
What does
done
that
that. I'm
even
very
mean?
proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month.
All right, guys, I see that there's people watching. Please let me know in the comment section because I've been very, very curious about this for quite some time. I have heard videos of people in the past talking about how under Obama, insulin and drug prices were a lot more expensive than compared to Trump's administration. I've also heard that Trump's administration, in regards to insulin, drugs, they were a lot cheaper. And then when Biden got in, it skyrocketed. I want to know if that's true because that is always a talking point. Abortion and the insulin. It has the price of drugs went down since this administration came into power. Out of curiosity, please let me know.
For seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited, I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that
So
any
you maintain
longer.
Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America, what we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work.
But that's exactly what you did. We were energy independent under Trump administration, and since then you stopped drilling until recently because it's an upcoming election, and that's the only time Democrats actually do anything is right before an election. But you guys were begging these third world countries for oil and gas, so that's just a lie. She thinks you're stupid, like that you can't go and research exactly what their policies has led towards the past 4 years. She's an idiot.
There's more to do, but that's good work.
I want to get some clarity on where you stand on some key policy issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020.
No, you didn't. You that's actually, she said the opposite on the debate stage. It amazes me on a daily basis, as much as the Democrats lie, how people can still vote for these people. I mean, you can just look up their previous record on what they say and it exposes themselves, but they don't expect you to do that because a lot of these NPC Democrat voters will just watch CNN or MSNBC and they won't replay her past. She is lying right now. She is saying the opposite of her of what she's done.
I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, at a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, I cast the tie-breaking vote that actually increased leases for fracking as vice president. So I'm very clear about where I stand.
And was there some policy or scientific data that you saw that you said, oh, okay, I get it now?
What I have seen is that we can we can grow and we can increase a thriving clean energy economy without banning fracking.
Okay. Another issue, big one, is immigration. As Vice President, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
Northern part of Central America.
the northern
in
part
particular,
of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S.
Mhm.
During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which
Sorry, guys, I had an important text. So let's talk about this fake border bill that she's talking about that was passed through the Republicans in the Senate and the Democrats in the Senate. Well, it wasn't passed. Sorry about that. It was put forth. And I've said many of times, we have some swamp creatures on our side. Plenty of them. But you know what? We have a shit ton more of America First patriots on our side, where the Democrats have zero patriots on their side. They have communist traitors on this side. But yes, sadly, some of the Republicans in the Senate put forth this fake border bill that was nothing for the border. 60 billion to Ukraine. I believe it was 20 billion to Israel or Gaza. And then they hired more border agents, but they're not doing anything to secure it. So that's just a lie. She said that it was the best border bill in history. No, it wasn't, because it wouldn't have secured the border. Also, didn't mention the fact that with that border bill, if it was passed, it would allow 5,000 illegals to cross legally per day. So that doesn't sound like a border bill, does it? Sounds like she's just saying some more hogwash because she thinks Americans are stupid. The Democrat Party, included with CNN, thinks Americans are stupid.
we supported, which I support, and Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border, and because he believes that it would not have helped him
That's a lie.
politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol in
So you guys are just going to process more illegals is pretty much what she says. You can hire more border patrol agents, but if you're not enforcing the laws and still letting people on a mass scale, then nothing's going to improve. So then it's pointless to pass the bill. Why would you pass a bill with all these billions of our taxpayer dollars to go to other countries when you could just close the border by executive order like Trump did? It makes zero sense.
endorse the bill. And I'm
They
sure,
didn't,
and
that's
I'm
why.
sure in large part because they knew they were working around the clock and 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again. I just want to
Not
ask
only
about
push it, I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
just one other question about something that you said in 2019 when you first ran. There was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race,
I think I didn't mute it. I'm sorry, guys. What I just said is she keeps on saying stuff that she didn't say that she did say in the past. She keeps crisscrossing. I wish she could just say, I evolved. People can evolve sometimes and change their point of views. But with her, it's just they don't take ownership for none of their policies, none of their actions. And it's very sad to see.
I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws, and I would enforce our laws as president going forward. I recognize the problem.
Generally speaking,
But you haven't enforced the laws so far. So why should we believe you now when you say you're going to do it?
how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time.
What is that? Deadlines around time. What does that even mean? What is this woman talking about? I've never seen anyone besides Joe Biden who just rambles on and on while making 0 sense. Her and Joe Biden were meant for each other.
We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. As an example, that value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations.
Yeah, and you also locked up a lot of men on minor crimes to use for labor inside prisons. Or how about the fact that you stole money that wasn't yours to begin with from families? You are a criminal. Or how about Willie Brown? You slept with him to get your foot into the door while he was married. You have 0 morals, Kamala Harris, and no one's buying it.
Of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed. So that is the reality of it. And 4 years of being vice president, I'll tell you, one of the aspects to your point is traveling the country extensively. I mean, I'm here in Georgia. I think somebody told me 17 times since I've been vice president in Georgia alone. I believe it is important to build consensus. And it is important to find a common place of understanding of where we can actually solve problems.
On that note, you had a lot of Republican speakers at the convention.
She has literally, in regards to the border question she was just asked, she didn't answer anything. She did not even say how she's going to do it. All she said is she's going to pass the same fake border bill that allows 5,000 illegals in a day, and that it's Trump's fault. This is amazing that this is the Democrats' nominee right now. Amazing.
Will you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
Yes, I would.
Anyone in mind?
Yes, I would. No one in particular in mind. We got 68 days to go with this election, so I'm not putting the cart before the horse, but I would. I think it's really important. I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
I want to ask you about your opponent, Donald Trump.
Okay.
I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any?
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Let's talk about some foreign policy issues that would be on your plate if you become commander in chief. President Biden has tried unsuccessfully to end the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. He's been doing it for months and months, along with you. Would you do anything differently? For example, would you
This is so
withhold some U.S.
scripted.
weapons shipments to Israel? That's what a lot of people on the progressive left want you to do.
This is so scripted, man. It's like 3 segments of 8 minutes, and that's it. While Trump just did a open interview with Tulsi Gabbard the other day, nonstop, unscripted. This is scripted because she's an idiot, and they couldn't do it on the first take live.
Let me be very clear. I'm unequivocal and unwavering in my commitment to Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. And that's not going to change. But let's take a step back. October 7, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply attending a music festival. Women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. And
is she reading off a note list? She keeps on looking down. I swear she's reading off a note card. This is just embarrassing at this point. I mean, if you're going to be interviewed, at least have the decency and respect to look at the camera because you know you're addressing and speaking to the American people. Least you could do is look up. One thing my father always told me growing up is men do not look down. If you are speaking to someone, you look at their eyes because it shows them that you're there, you're present, you're listening. This is the sign of a weak woman right here. One who can't even look up because she knows she's full of shit. She knows everything that's coming out of her ugly mouth is a lie.
we have got to get a deal done. We were in Doha. We have to get a deal done. This war must end.
In the meantime,
And we must get a deal that is about getting the hostages out. I've met with the families of the American hostages. Let's get the hostages out. Let's get the ceasefire done.
but no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth.
No, we have to get a deal done. Dana, we have to get a deal done. When you look at the significance of this to the families, to the people who are living in that region, a deal is not only the right thing to do to end this war, but will unlock so much of what must happen next. I remain committed.
What does that even mean? It will unlock of so much of what has to. I don't get this woman like goes in these spurts where she like just says some weird shit that makes 0 sense. And then I'm left thinking, okay, what was the point? Why you brought that up? You didn't finish your point. Continue with that point, and then she just moves on to the next one without making sense again.
Since I've been on October 8th, to what we must do to work toward a two-state solution, where Israel is secure and in equal measure, the Palestinians have security and self-determination and dignity.
Governor Walz, the country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you a question about how you've described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming.
Oh yeah, your record does speak for itself. This crazy loser, tampons in boys' restroom, led the BLM movements. His city was the worst. His family worked with the rioters. I mean, should I go on? He lied about his military experience. He lied about his DUI. There's even stories coming out that he had to get his stomach pumped because he had too much horse semen in him. I don't even know how the hell that happens. But talk about not qualified for the position, I would say. Big time not qualified. But right now, the Democrats, they don't have morals. They just put up the biggest puppets of their party so they can control them.
I mean, get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war.
Yeah.
Did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But
That's a lie. Just look it up. He has used him serving in the military for him to get elected in the past. That is a reason. And he ran on that, fighting in the war. And I have nothing but respect for a veteran. So I couldn't imagine fighting and seeing this little punk lie about it while being pushed up as the VP role. It's a joke. He should be automatically disqualified. Actually, he should be locked away for lying about going to war. It's sad. It's very sad to the ones who have served for our freedom and fought and died for our freedom. This punk gets away with lying about it.
But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's service in any way. I never have, and I never will.
I just one other question, because again, this is all new.
Yeah.
I mean, this was not however many days ago. This was not on either of your bingo cards, especially yours. You had to clarify that you had said that you and your wife used IVF, but it turned out you used a different kind of fertility.
There's another lie.
To have children. And then when you ran for Congress in 2006, your campaign repeatedly made false statements about a 1995 arrest for drunk and reckless driving. What do you say to voters who
So he's lied about everything. So if he's lied about everything, he cannot be trusted.
aren't sure whether they can take you at your word?
Well, I've been very public. I think they can see my students come out, former folks I've served with, and they vouch for me. I certainly own my mistakes when I make them. The one thing I'll say is I wished in this country wouldn't have to do this. I spoke about our infertility issues because it's hell, and families know this.
You
and
still lied.
I spoke about the treatments that were available to us that had those beautiful children there. That's quite a contrast in folks that are trying to take those rights away from us. And so I think people know who I am. They know that record. They've seen that. I've taught thousands of students. I've been out there, and I won't apologize for speaking passionately, whether it's guns in school.
So he won't apologizing for lying to the American people on numerous occasions because guns are killing kids, I guess, which is terrible. Yes, but that doesn't give you the right to lie about everything.
Schools or protecting of reproductive rights. The contrast could not be clearer between what we're running against. The vice president's position on this is clear.
True.
And I think most Americans get it if you've been through that. I don't think they're cutting hairs on IVF or IUI. I think what they're cutting hairs on is an abortion ban and the ability to be able to deny families the chance.
That is a lie. Trump returned it to the states. This is what the left is like pros at saying, that Trump's going to do a nationwide abortion ban. No, he returned it to the states so that people can vote on how they want the restrictions to be. And he's been asked this so many times at this point, and the fact that they are still saying this on a daily basis shows you how desperate the Democrat Party are. They will lie about everything that they say because they think they think me, they think all Americans are too stupid to see their record, but no one's falling for it.
Chance to have a beautiful child.
Vice President Harris, you were a very
Fake
staunch
smile.
defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets you told American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have
So she has no regrets as well, and I'm sorry I'm pausing it, but she has no regrets as well for lying for months, saying that Joe Biden was fine, when even CNN and everyone in America who watched him speak could tell that he wasn't fine. But she doesn't apologize because this is what she does. She lies about everything. She never tells the truth, and she thinks you're stupid.
served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve.
She just like used hella words and just think that sounded bright. She's smart, intelligent, great, sexy, beautiful, all the above. This is so embarrassing. I cannot believe that they thought this was a good interview. This is the worst interview I've ever seen.
In their president. By contrast, the former president has none of that. And so, one, I am so proud to have served as vice president to Joe Biden. And two, I'm so proud to be running with Tim Walz for president of the United States and to bring America what I believe the American people deserve, which is a new way forward, and turn the page on the
Turn the page what? On the last 4 years of your shitty administration, you have been in power the past 4 years. So if it's bad, why aren't you fixing it now, you idiot? Amazing. 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 Please let me know if anyone that's watching this thought that this was a good interview. It's the worst interview I've ever seen.
last decade of what I believe has been contrary to where the spirit of our country really lies.
But the last decade, of course, the last 3.5 years has been part of your administration.
I'm talking about an era that started about a decade ago, where there is some suggestion, warped, I believe it to be, that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, instead of where I believe most Americans are, which is to believe that the true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up.
And who exactly are you lifting up exactly, Kamala Harris? It seems like you've been going down on men for quite some time, and it seems like you're always the one that goes down and never gets people up. Sorry, I'm sorry, guys. I keep pausing it. Let me stop that.
That's what's at stake as much as any other detail that we could discuss in this election.
We haven't had a chance to talk. I'm just curious, staying on President Biden, when he called you and said he was pulling out of the race, what was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it?
It was a Sunday, so here I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing, Madam Vice President.
My family was staying with us, and including my baby nieces, and we had just had pancakes and, Auntie, can I have more bacon? Yes, I'll make you more bacon. And then we were sitting down to do a puzzle.
Super cringe. Super
and the
cringe.
phone rang, and it was Joe Biden. And he told me what he had decided to do. I asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said yes. And that's how I learned about it.
And what about the endorsement? Did you ask for it?
He was very clear that he was going to support me.
So when he called to tell you, he said, "I'm pulling out of the race and I'm going to support you."
Well, my first thought was not about me, to be honest with you. My first thought was about him.
This is just too much, man. This is too cringe. This is the same woman who had a lot of her coworkers have quit because she's terrible boss. 1, 2, she called racist during the debates. They could not even stand each other, and now she's just like making up all these little fake compliments about him. This is so fake. I mean, I usually give people the benefit of the doubt. I thought maybe, but this is just so fake. So fake.
To be honest, I think history is going to show a number of things about Joe Biden's presidency. I think history is going to show that in so many ways it was transformative, be it on what we have accomplished around finally investing in America's infrastructure, investing in new economies, in new industries, what we have done to bring our allies back together and have confidence in who we are as America and grow that alliance, what we have done to stand true to our principles, including the one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I think history is going to show not only has Joe Biden led an administration that has achieved those extraordinary successes, but the character of the man is one that
Oh yeah, such character with Joe Biden. Well, he has a crackhead son that he used for overseas business dealings, or the fact that he showered with his daughter inappropriately at young ages, or cheated on his wife, who sadly passed away, with his kid's babysitter named Jill Biden. Nothing about Joe Biden is good, and this is just fakeness across the board.
he has been in his life and career, including as a president, quite selfless and puts the American people first.
I just have to ask you both about two standout moments, aside, of course, from the addresses that you both gave, but standout moments that were perhaps unexpected during the convention. You mentioned one of them, Governor. A moment that you shared, that the world shared with your son, Gus. You were speaking, the camera caught him, so incredibly proud of you, so emotional, saying, "That's my dad."
Yeah,
Your dad, sadly, son, is a criminal pedophile. I'll be very serious about that. Pedophile. There's a place for hell for people like this, and I'm sorry that that's your dad. That must suck.
I don't know as a father I could have ever imagined that. I'm grateful for so many reasons to be on this ticket, but that moment, to understand what was really important, to have my son feel a sense of pride in me, that I was trying to do the right thing. And it was, you try and protect your kids, it brings notoriety and things, but it was just such a visceral, emotional moment that I'm grateful I got to experience it, and I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of Hope. I'm proud of Gwen. She's a wonderful mother, and these are great kids. And I think the one thing is, talking about the era we're in, is our politics can be better. It can be different. We can show some of these things, and we can have families involved in this. And I hope that I hope people felt that out there, and I hope they hug their kids a little tighter, because you just never know, and life can be kind of hard.
And last question, Madam Vice President, the photograph that has gone viral. You were speaking, one of your grandnieces that you were just talking
Yes.
about was watching you accept the nomination.
Mhm.
You didn't explicitly talk about gender.
All right, guys, I'm going to change it to a funny video now since this is live. That is the end of the Kamala Harris scripted, edited, terrible interview. Talk about cringe. Look at that face. Just so much fakeness. Dana Bash did not go back on the lies and the things that they were discussing. I mean, I could talk about so many lies, blaming the store chains for the increase in prices, blaming Trump for the border crisis. They haven't owned up for any of their policies, and from what I see, she's promising all this good, cool stuff coming forward. If that's the case, why didn't you do any of it for years? You've been in control for the past 4 years. Why hasn't anything been done? And that's the question that people should be saying. But I actually do think that this person nails it right on the mark. He actually speaks about this Kamala Harris campaign, and I think he goes through great details. And I want you guys to hear this, and then that will be it for this episode
Presidency to
tonight.
Hi, so I have a master's degree in
One
business,
sec.
and today I'm going to use it to analyze the marketing strategy of Kamala Harris's campaign, and ultimately why I believe if she continues with the horrible marketing strategy she has been employing, why she will ultimately end up losing the presidency to Donald Trump. So obviously this is a highly emotional and contentious topic for a lot of people, but the reason why I did want to speak on it is that I think there's a lot of parallels to be drawn between the marketing of a product and the marketing of a political candidate. And while I wish that wasn't the case, because I wish that politics was less of an exercise in personal branding and more of a deeper discussion on substantive policies that will actually be impacting the everyday lives of human beings, that just simply is not the case. And although I'm not American, I am Canadian. Your elections have consequences for the entire world. So I think anybody that wants to put their 2 cents in is allowed to. So based on my objective analysis, I believe that Kamala Harris's campaign is built upon very flawed marketing strategy that is very heavily relying on superficial social media engagement, identity politics, and a highly crafted and tightly controlled public image of her persona that is so far removed from the reality of who she is and so socially and media engineered to the
Yep.
point that it is essentially a house of cards that is doomed to collapse.
Yep.
So, the first marketing strategy that Kamala Harris is employing, and we are all collectively experiencing it, whether we realize it or not, is the blank slate strategy. This is essentially where she is being intentionally vague and ambiguous in the language that she uses and the way that she appears publicly in order to take advantage of the psychological phenomenon of projection. Because
Yeah.
if you are extremely vague and generic and say some of the right words without specifically committing to policies or being very clear about what your values are, human beings will simply project onto you what they want to see. Progressives will see her as extremely progressive and forward thinking. More moderate voters will see her as somebody that's a little bit more measured. And you can kind of see reasoning behind why they're doing it. I don't think it's completely stupid, but I think it is doomed to fail because although it is working in the short term, she's going to eventually be put into scenarios like debates where she'll be forced to take firm stances on topics. And because she hasn't done that intellectual work to decide where she really lands on these important issues, she may end up looking unqualified for the job. So the next issue
Yep.
with the blank slate strategy is the only reason it's even remotely effective is specifically because she is solely relying on identity politics.
And that's where I wanted to pause it. All on identity politics. No policy, just the race, gender, identity. That is what we need to stop voting off of. I used to vote off that when Obama got in, but no more. Now we vote based off policy. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a live show at the Trump event in Roseville, California. I hope you all watch. I'm going to be asking Trump supporters very good questions. Hope you guys also subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's called Politics and Life, or you can search California JB 5460, and it is Politics and Life. Hope to see you all tomorrow. Leave me some comments and questions. Ask the Patriots. And yeah, it should be very fun. Thank you guys for coming to my live stream. Talk to you soon. Peace.